Good morning everyone, and welcome to this Digistor webinar on the VENICE in conjunction with DVS, Rohde and Schwarz. Thank you for taking your time out this morning. I know everyone's got a busy schedule. We shouldn't go too long. We're probably looking at anywhere between 40 and 50 minutes. My name's Johan. Up on the screen you should see my details. That's my phone number and email address. So you can contact me at any time after the show just regarding VENICE or anything about Digistor. We've also put our Facebook and Twitter details up there. It's a really good way to keep up with the technology by following us on Facebook and Twitter, because daily there's several feeds of information going out there. After the webinar, you can, or during the webinar, you can add any questions you've got at any time. We might be able to get to them during the webinar. If there's time at the end of the webinar, we'll try and get through them as well. Any outstanding questions will be followed up after the webinar, and all questions are grateful. We appreciate the info, in case there's a bit of info we haven't got to during the webinar, which is quite important. It's good to get those questions. The webinar is also recording, so if you have to pop out during the webinar or something like that, don't worry too much. We're going to send you a link after the webinar, probably in the next 24 to 48 hours with that video, so you could also pass that on to colleagues if you think there's any interested parties that didn't get to the webinar today. So Digistor, basically Digistor supply leading solutions across a variety of different workflows in production, film and broadcast. Up there are a few of the workflows that we support and have come up with solutions for, so feel free to contact us regarding any of those as well. We supply fully integrated solutions using a number of vendors across all platforms as well. So up on the list is a few of, I guess, the world's leading brands that we support, but there are quite a few other ones that we support and sell as well. So why choose Digistor, or why Digistor? Basically, we're renowned for our customer service. So up there on the right, you'll see for 2 years running, we've won the Autodesk Customer Satisfaction Award. We're in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. We offer customer assurance plans, so everything from a 1-seat broadcast house to 100 seats. We're able to give you unlimited phone, emails and VPN, so we can remote into your systems as well to support them, which is a great way of doing it. It's very fast for one of our support engineers to be able to sit at their desk, remote into your system, see what's wrong and correct it. We've also got a training facility, so we do courses from everywhere from Adobe to Smoke on the Mac to different types of color grading, and we provide solutions across all platforms. So all of our engineers and a lot of our products are either Mac, PC or Linux. So on to the webinar. If you want to know more after the webinar, please feel free to contact myself or anyone here at Digistor. We'll be doing demos across the next couple of weeks. So probably in about a fortnight, we'll start doing demos. So if you want to come in, get a full demo, go through the GUI, see how it works in real life, avoid all the smoke and mirrors that sometimes people seem to see in webinars, feel free to contact us and come in. And we also do on-site consultation as well. So if you're not sure how VENICE is going to fit into your facility, feel free to contact us and we'll be able to come out there on-site, have a look at what you're doing now and have a look how this or any product can benefit your workflow. Again, there are my contact details, so feel free to jot them down. I'm going to pass you now on to Chan from DVS, Rohde and Schwarz, and he's going to take you through the VENICE product. Just bear with me while I give him control. Are you there, Chan?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good morning everyone. Thanks Johan for the introduction. Very glad to be here and honored to be part of the webinar. Before I start, basically I need to shrink down the control panel so that you can see my presentation properly. If you have any questions, please feel free to type it out, and I'll be more than happy to answer you at the end of the session. Thank you. So now I begin. Basically, we are here. I'm from Rohde and Schwarz Regional HQ. Hang on. From Rohde and Schwarz Regional HQ Singapore, and my name is Chan Take. I'm the BDM for broadcast, and I'm supporting Rohde and Schwarz Australia. They have offices in two other offices in Australia as well. The head of broadcast will be is actually Mr. Niels Aarons, and he's closely working with Digistor for all the broadcast account in Australia. Okay, so a little bit about Rohde and Schwarz DBS. DBS was founded in Hanover, Germany in 1985, and over the past 25 years or more, they actually developed lots of DBS systems over the years, and it is manufactured in Germany, Hanover. In 2011, it is actually acquired by Rohde and Schwarz and now fully part of a subsidiary of RNS. Okay, so the range of products which DBS provides, of course, what we're here today for Rohde and Schwarz VENICE, which is the ingest and production server. This is mainly for the studio broadcast environment. Other products include also have storage solution from full DBS SAN configuration to SAN in a box, and the latest addition to the storage solution family is actually SpicerBox Cell, which is a new product which we have launched during NAB this year. Also a new product which we have launched at the same time is the Pronto 4K HFR, where you can actually play out 4K up to 120 frames per second. All right, and of course the products where VENICE, Clipster, and Pronto are actually running out of our own developed DBS video boards. So this is actually the range of products that we offer. Okay, so back on the VENICE itself, basically it is targeted at the broadcast studio, and mainly one of the studio challenges that are faced today, of course, from SD to HD, which is the first step, and from there, of course, broadcasters are also considering the next step forward, which is, of course, to 4K. All right. So taking a step back, how do you actually migrate from SD to HD? First thing first is, like most of them will consider moving from tape to tapeless. So in other words, a true file-based workflow, which will actually help in terms of efficiency and in terms of all the different types of codecs that's available out there. So that is why it is important to consider how you actually migrate from tape to tapeless and to file-based workflows. Then, of course, then the next step will be also to consider how would you deliver your content or put them on there. So in terms of OTT, video on demand, and how these are going to be delivered ultimately to the end users or to different partners or different broadcasters who have a different link and different demands as well. So today we are faced with these few challenges, and we have the answer to these challenges in the sense that when you have typical broadcast studio workflow, as I've shown here in the slide, you have multiple cameras on the left, where you have typically live studios with multi-camera feeds. Of course, traditionally you still have your VTR for tape ingest, live feeds, be it satellite or events that's coming into the studio or the broadcasting station, and of course to consider file-based ingest as well. So all these can actually be handled by VENICE. All right. So it is like your media production hub in this sense. And with VENICE itself, you are actually going into file-based workflow where you store the content into shared storage, typically where Rohde and Schwarz DVS also offer. And with open architecture system on VENICE, you can connect to almost any media asset management, content management system, or newsroom computer system, so that you can ensure a full seamless workflow from end to end. With the multiple codec that VENICE offer, you can also have a different variety of non-linear editing systems with Avid Media Composer, with Final Cut Pro, or even with Adobe. And of course, this content you can use our VENICE playout for going to studio on air, as well as playout to transmission. And with Rohde and Schwarz, of course, we offer another link where we have the head ends for transmission to satellites, to IPs, to ASI, or back to just transmission tower. Targets that we do is actually centralized content ingest as well as distribution. All right. So as the last slide that I've shown is where all your feeds are coming into VENICE, and you can actually share them throughout the whole chain of workflow, and of course in our main central storage as well. Okay. When you move on down the chain in the broadcast production, you would of course face with the capability or the function to have outgest and distribution in the broadcast. Typically, where we are pretty strong is at the Avid workflow, which I will show much more in details later. In live studio production as well, VENICE is able to do carry out the function for live studio. Newsroom production, where you can actually integrate with your NRCS, your news automation as such, and of course for studio playout. So basically, when you have VENICE, the main advantage is that of course it has a very full control on the remote user interface, where you can have a separate GUI that installed on different workstations, be it a Mac, Linux, or even a Windows workstation, or even on a laptop, and you have full control of all the available channels in VENICE. All right. With the multiple codecs, it allows instant editing. All right, be it as mentioned earlier, different NLEs, and with our system architecture, it also allows instant editing while ingest. At the same time, when it's ingesting, proxy file generation is in parallel, so you can actually almost immediately browse the content when it's being ingested. All right. Well, for file ingest, then we're also compatible with a P2 and XDCAM SBIOS format in that sense. Transcoding capabilities, again, there's proven speed of VENICE transcoding relatively more than faster than real time, and because we support the latest distribution formats like AS11 or the many variety of codecs, you can actually transcode to different a full variety of file formats and wrappers. All right. So going into a typical Avid workflow environment, where you can see VENICE, we have internal storage. We have a server where you can typically do a VTR ingest. You can actually save it with a multi-destination recording feature in VENICE into our own storage Spicer Box Flex. And with the VENICE appliance, you can even link or register the system into a typical Avid environment. With the VENICE appliance, it recognizes, you will be recognized as a client in Interplay, and is able to directly ingest and outgest from ICs itself. So even if you don't have a IC storage or even Interplay, with Media Composer, you are able to access all the file formats or the content from our Spicebox Flex, which could be your production storage. Okay, so a little bit more which I've mentioned earlier. When you are doing a file ingest, you can do a direct ingest into Avid ICs, and you're not limited to only DNxHD format. There's also automated metadata clip check-in if you're using Interplay, and of course the popular frame chase editing, which allows almost instantaneous editing while ingest if you're using a Media Composer. And with VENICE itself, you have all the native support of the variants codecs in broadcast from Sony XCam, Panasonic to ProRes, as well as other formats, which I'll go into details later. Then in Outgest, you have a fast transwrapping process without any transcoding. Right? Content can actually be dragged out from ISYST or even from Interplay. And we also support the complete Avid sequence files. All right. Sequence stitching we also do support, but do note that for rendering, then it has to still be carried out by Avid Media Composer. Right. Then with that, you also don't need any complete mixdown, and this actually saves you time when we are using our Avid workflow environment. And lastly, even you don't have Avid Transfer Manager, there's still not a problem because we will be able to carry out the process without it. Okay, now I'll go into more technical specifications of RNS VENICE. This is a typical 2RU systems. VENICE itself, we do offer in a variant of 2-channel unit or a 4-channel unit. All right, so with a 4-channel unit, you have a 4x3G SDI interface. All right, the largest support of file formats, again from Sony, Apple, Raspberry, to Panasonic and Avid DNxHD. Later on, I'll show you the full codecs that we support. Flexible channel configuration without rebooting, which I'll explain further how we actually do it. And of course, we have open storage architecture where you can actually link to any storage that you are currently using, or other types of storage which we intend to implement. And with VENICE itself, there's also comes with the option of internal storage of 3, 6, or 9 terabytes. Okay, to show you a bit on how the GUI looks like, as mentioned earlier, there's full flexibility on VENICE, using VENICE, highlighted in red on the top left corner. In one channel, there's 3 modes. You can actually set it to be ingest, playout, or transform mode. And with the full support of codecs that we offer, if you, under the playlist, when you're playing out from VENICE, it doesn't really matter what kind of file formats you're using. You can actually put it into the playlist, and it can play out with full support using VENICE, as highlighted in the box in blue. I'll go a little bit more later on the full flexibility. As shown here, what we meant by full flexibility channel configuration. And this is done without having to reboot VENICE itself. So for typical 4 channels, you will have, of course, you can set all the 4 channels to be ingest, as shown here. Then, of course, you can also, just with a click of the button, as shown on the screenshot there, you can also set all the 4 channels to be doing playout. Now, when we say full flexibility, let's say if you need to do transcoding process if you have lots of content. Then if they are as the days goes along, you need more materials, you can set 2 channels to do ingest, 1 channel playout, and 1 channel to do transcoding or transwrapping. And of course, again, you can reconfigure it to do just 1 channel ingest or 3 channels playout. So this is what we meant by full flexibility. So in other words, with a 4-channel VENICE, each channel with 3 modes, in fact, you have a 12-mode capability in one box. All right. Okay, so moving on, how you actually control VENICE itself. There's internal, where we have a remote user interface. As mentioned earlier, you can install on other workstation or even a laptop and have full control of up to 12 channels in VENICE. And the record scheduler in Spicer, so you can actually use the different software application to set your recording in a film scheduler, which we offer with Spicer, which I will show again later. External, when you connect to other devices or systems and automation, we do offer VDCP, MOS, as well as films and SOAP commands for automation or integration. This is a screenshot of the record scheduler in Spicer, so you can actually assign at what time and set a time to run recording, the duration on which channel that is required. So for example, if you have a CNN feed that's coming in at 2 a.m. In the midnight, you can actually set it in the record scheduler. And this is actually using our Spicer software and with the films to control VENICE itself. Okay. All right. So moving on, what are the resolutions and formats that we support? Of course, SD and HD. So as mentioned earlier, the challenges faced by current broadcasters. If you're still playing out or having materials in SD, not a problem. VENICE also offer real-time upscale and downscale. And even if you want to go a step further to 2K, we do support a few modes for non-drop frames and drop frames rates as well. Uncompressed formats is able to do uncompressed format of DPX and TIFF or TGA file formats, picture formats, and of course the usual color sampling, which we support up to RGB 444. Now the production formats, which is the main unique selling point of VENICE, is that we offer the largest range of codec support, from Sony XD-Cam to the latest Sony XAVC, which is listed down at the bottom, from AVC Intra 50 up to 200, and of course the DVC Pro, the DV, DNxHD of up to 185, Apple ProRes of up to 444, and MPEG-2 and H.264. And in terms of all the codecs, we also offer the whole variety of file formats on container support as well, as listed on the right. So in other words, when you have different file formats coming in, you really do not have to do much or any transcoding at all, and you can actually play out from VENICE. Okay, then integration with other system, we can typically it goes through VDCP when you have production systems as listed here, iNews, IntelliSat, or if you need VTR controls or external controls like your high-tech Arbiter or DNF controller, you can do this connection with VENICE via VDCP. Automation for playout, again either through VDCP or SOAP commands. These are the listed integration that we basically have done with Harris ADC 100, Snell Morpheus, Fastbreak, Pebble Beach, and Aveco. And of course, with media asset management system and newsroom computer system, you can actually make use of our MOS, SOAP, or even FIMS interface to connect to the variants of systems that is required. Okay, so now when we mention VENICE itself, actually it is both ingest and a production server, and we offer a few modes since the recent launch at NAB. So now you have 3 variants. Basically, you have VENICE Media Production Hub, where you can do all that is mentioned earlier: ingest, transform, transcode, transwrap, and as well as playout in a box. Or you can have VENICE just for ingest, where you just do baseband and file ingest. And if the need arises, you can actually, through a software option upgrade, then you have a full-scale VENICE MPH. Then on the VENICE playout, it is solely for doing playout, where typically you have to have an automation system in place where we have to integrate with. Then for this model, afraid that we do not offer any option to upgrade to either a ingest or MPH model. Then we also offer, in line with the Avid workflow, we have what we call the VENICE appliance. Sorry for the, should have added in. Typically, we also call it the workflow option. And with the VENICE itself, typically we also offer our SpicerBox family for shared storage, for production storage, connecting to VENICE. Okay, so in a nutshell, as shown here in this slide, these are the few applications where you can use or deploy VENICE with in your production. On the last column, VENICE HPE. This is a 4U unit, which I did not mention earlier, but basically it is a powerful, more powerful unit as compared to the MPH. HPE means high performance engine. So if you need fast media turnaround or higher performance, then you can actually opt for the VENICE HPE. All right. Okay, so moving on, going into case studies. So we have a big customer in Germany. It's actually the second largest broadcaster there of all the whole Europe. So we have done over 60 installations with this customer, both in their news ingest and studio playout. And of course, there's more expansion to come in this year. And we're able to meet the demands because the customer wants to move away from monolithic systems where they want the integration with the vendor, but with independent interfaces. So that's where they like about VENICE, because we actually offer them the FIMS protocol for them to have different kinds of interfaces controlling VENICE. And with that, they are able to deploy their own standard IT architecture, which is catered closely to what they want in a full file-based workflow. Okay, so in this sense, it is the core system is actually a one system, so this actually reduced the training effort with the customer, and it also gives a comprehensive feature set if it's used when it's used for as a standalone for backup. So again, this also reduced the training required if the backup kicks in. So this is actually a quick overview of what they have used. With all the typical ingest on the left and file-based ingest through Spicer. With the Avid appliance, it goes into their existing Avid environment with IC storage and Interplay, and with Media Composer as well. And again, all the way to playout with Avid controller for their studio production playouts, and all the way to the transmission chain. Okay, latest case study is with actually was BBC. They used our systems for the recent Sochi Winter Olympics, where it is mainly used for content ingest and contribution playout. Our storage was deployed mainly for editing, quick editing, and the main thing that attracts them to our solution, because it's a real compact system where they can do everything in a very nice small units, and it can be actually easily deployed back to BBC for all the transmission and playout. And that is why the challenge that they are faced because of the condensed space in the mountainous area and the quick relocation of equipment that is required. So the solution that they have is actually a 2 VENICE high performance engine, right, with the VENICE appliance, right? The Avid workflow option, because they're having Avid editing media composer connected to it, and the whole workflow is basically based on the sports program, editing on the highlight packages, and then the content is actually used for contribution. Okay, so this comes to the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, do let me know. I'll be free, more than happy to answer any of it. Okay, I'll basically hand over back to Johan. Johan, are you there?
Yep, I'm there. Hey guys. If you've got any questions, probably now's the time to ask. Chan, we've got one question. It's if transcoding is supported not only on the Ingest, which is, but also on the VENICE playout server. So I guess generally for transcoding, transcoding files in general.
Yes.
Just yes.
Oh no, sorry. Well, for the VENICE playout, no, there's no transcoding to be supported.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it's just a playout unit.
Okay, but obviously with the Ingest, if you've got the one which allows file-based, you know, absolutely you can you can obviously transcode those files as they come in.
Yes, indeed. When you have a baseband ingest, you actually already set in the GUI that what kind of format which you want to save into.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anyone else out there with some questions? Now's the time to ask. All right, it looks like we've got a slightly quiet audience, which is not always a bad thing. Like I mentioned before, we've recorded the webinar, so we'll ping you a link in the next 24 to 48 hours. Up there are my details if you've got any questions that you want to ask in the next couple of days. And again, we'll be doing demos in about a fortnight's time here at Digistor. So let us know if you want to come in. And like I mentioned earlier, if you want us to go out there to see what's happening with your workflow and how this can benefit it, we're happy to come out there and see you guys. I guess for now I'd just like to thank Chang for that. That was very informative, and I think you guys who watched, you can see that the VENICE is a very comprehensive product, which I think puts it well above any of the ingest and playout servers that are out there on the market. Most of them can just do a fraction of what the VENICE can do, and the integration as far as with ISIS and Interplay goes, you know, it's pretty much second to none. So anyway, I'd like to thank you all again for joining us, and thank Chan, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you at the next webinar. Cheers, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.